best movie of 2024? We got a bunch of big movies last year, so what better time to rank them all? I didn't see every 2024 movie, so your favorite might not make the list, but here's a ranking of every new film I did see last year. In dead last is Orion in the Dark. This was a DreamWorks Netflix movie that stunk in every way you cut it. The animation was mid, the story was bad, the characters were horrible, and it had this weird dark tone that didn't fit. It's followed by another Netflix animated movie called That Christmas, which felt like a bunch of horrible characters teaching your kids some great morals. Next up is a bit of a cheat. I've got 3 movies in a tie. To be honest though, Despicable Me 4, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, and Garfield are all pretty much the same. A boring, horribly paced movie nobody would care about if it weren't attached to a giant brand. My next pick will definitely ruffle some feathers. It's Dune 2. I liked elements of this movie, but overall it was terribly boring and none of the characters were likable. Red One was only slightly better. For one, it was way shorter, but even though I enjoyed laughing at its stupidity, it was still a pretty bad movie. If was a weird film. It was beautifully directed and had some nice story beats, but something about it felt empty. It was also pretty unfunny for a Ryan Reynolds movie. Then there's Moana 2. Listen, one song was good and the animation and lighting mostly looked stellar, but this movie was just aggravating and even more empty than If. Just rewatch Moana. It's the exact same story, but made by a Disney that cared. Did anyone else watch Rebel Ridge? I thought it was kinda underwhelming overall, but I liked its concept and there were some fun action moments. Oh, but Madame Web was glorious. Don't get me wrong, this movie was horrible, but it's the best bad movie I've seen in years. Watch this with a dumb group, you'll have a blast. Godzilla x Kong was the kind of movie that knew what it was and gave you exactly what you wanted. I still think it needed more wide shots to really show how big the monsters were, but Big Monkey Punch Big Lizard never gets old. Yeah, I'm putting Kung Fu Panda 4 this high. Everyone made it out to be awful, and while it had its issues, I enjoyed it far more than I expected. The lighting was also tremendous, just look at them skies. I delayed this video for Sonic 3, and it was kinda underwhelming. The pacing was weird and the dialogue was pretty bad, but honestly the finale was fun and Jim Carrey was a gift as always. The Fall Guy was my brother's pick for Film of the Year, and I enjoyed it. I feel like I need to rewatch it, but based on one viewing, it was fun. Forget what I said earlier. Beekeeper wasn't just the best bad movie I've seen, it was one of the best viewing experiences I've ever had. You're not prepared for how stupidly awesome this movie is. I love it. People will hate me for it, but The Wild Robot doesn't crack the top 5. It's absolutely carried by the best song of the year and a killer art style, but it just didn't land with me the same way it did for most people. I really did love Twisters though. I expected a bad movie and instead got served a fun disaster film that's just the right level of dumb. The main couple have such good chemistry, I love their dynamic. Color me shocked, but Transformers 1 takes the next spot. Its trailers were terrible, but the final film was incredibly well made with great action, animation, and way better comedy than marketing made it seem. Another huge surprise was Inside Out 2. I wrote off Pixar as a has-been, but they delivered one of their best sequels ever that perfectly built on a good universe. And man, my #1 movie for most of the year ended up only taking 2nd place. That's right, Thelma the Unicorn, the funniest film I've seen in a while, is not the Bacon Guy movie of the year. I love you though, Thelma, never change. Quick honorable mention to The Fallout Show. It wasn't a movie, but it was the best content I saw all year. Nope, my film of the year was a surprise out of nowhere contender. Carry On, a Netflix Christmas action movie. It still would have been top 3 without him, but Nick Wilde plays an incredibly horrifying terrorist and makes this movie what it is. Carry On is far from perfect, but it's the best movie I saw in 2024. But those are just my thoughts. What's your movie of the year? Tell me in the comments.